Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Conan. We're keeping it geekly with our new guest, Bonsart. We're here to break down Bond for the Styx, steampunk novels and miniatures, and everything in between. Bonsart, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream, man. Good evening.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm doing good. Very busy with the preparations for the Kickstarter. We've got a lot going on, so yeah, really looking forward to it, and also very scared at the same time.
So, I mean, before we dive too deep into the Kickstarter process and what we're here to talk about today, let's talk a little bit about you. You know, who are you? How did you get into creating comics?
So I'm Bonsart Bokel. I have a YouTube channel called Radio Retro Future. It's something that I started after getting a couple of years in steampunk. And on that YouTube channel, among other things, I have a documentary series on steampunk called The Steampunk Beginner's Guide, in which I also discuss a lot of world building. And I got a lot of questions in my comment section regarding, you know, writing and people talking about their worlds and stuff they were creating for their stories in the genre or with the aesthetics. And yeah, I got a lot of. I did a lot, many projects related to that. I even made a steampunk radio station for Fallout 4 that people can listen to. Yeah, it's part of Old World Radio 2. That was my foray into voice acting and doing sound effects.
Were you like the DJ, like the radio host?
Yeah. I wrote it and I organized the steampunk bands that are involved. Like
that's so awesome, dude.
Yeah. That's a story into itself. Like originally, I was only supposed to arrange the bands, but the guy Brandon Redding, he is doing Old World Radio. He has two mods that I'm aware of: Old World Radio and Old World Radio 2. Radio Retro Future. It's also called Radio Retro Future, is part of Old World Radio 2. And I wrote at first I was just supposed to arrange the bands, but then he was like, well, I don't know anything about steampunk. Like, can you also write something? And I had never really written any. Well, I had written, but not like in any real capacity. I never published anything that I written at that point, so it was also my first writing gig in that regard. And you know, I created this character that a lot of people compare him to Black's books, that main character, and who's always drunk on absinthe. And I created this whole persona around him, and yeah, for that reason, it's now many people's favorite radio show on that mod.
That is so cool.
And I met a lot of musicians through it, and it was like. And one of the things, like steampunk music is more about the aesthetic and the themes of the songs than actually about the musical genre itself. So it's very hard. Like, what is the first song you put on there? And so I chose, and I still work with him. He actually made music for the audiobooks that I'm recording now. Marco Ilianello, or Musical Wizardry. He actually does a lot of TV programs, music for TV programs now. But he used to have like a steampunk metal band called Clockwork Opera, which is kind of like operatic metal in the steampunk genre. That's the first song that you hear, which is just a kind of like operatic metal song.
So I don't want to dwell too long on it, but I got to ask, like, how hard was it to write a persona for a radio station? That, I mean, like first time diving into a writing gig, that had to have been like where do I start? Like, where do I begin with this?
Yeah, you know, I started simple, which is just, you know, the first thing was like really just, you know, the radio host doing kind of like a jingle-esque thing, and then it was like, well, I've got these songs now available for me, and so sometimes I kind of like connected like his little bit to the story, but I also got this robot, or my character has this robot called ASP, Absent Service Provider, which is
that's so cool.
Which is you know, a Mr. Handy with a bit of feminine voice, and you know, its only purpose is to make absent for my character, which he hates. And Yeah, so I never really finished it, unfortunately, because I just got demotivated.
Hmm.
But like the idea was that the wormwood or the absinthe that he was serving all that time was served with an infected form of wormwood that gave him superpowers. Yeah, unfortunately, I never really finished that. But yeah, it had all kinds of crazy stuff, and HP then got a raider robot boyfriend. So that's
That's
kind of
so
like
awesome.
happy.
Real quick, we have some activity over on YouTube. We have,
Oh,
and I'm sure this is from your Discord. And my apologies if I butcher these pronunciations. We have Stephen Ballas. Good morning, Cody. Good day, Bonsart. Welcome to the stream, Stephen.
yeah,
Johan Alexander. Hello there. Hope
that's my
could make it to
illustrator.
the end. It's quite late in my place. Yeah, we actually just started, so thank you for stopping in. Vander von Graff. Greetings, just dropping to
Oh,
see how the interview is going. You guys are right in time. We are just getting to the good parts, right? Like, so after doing that radio gig, what was next for you? What led you next in your writing career?
don't really recall what I started doing after that. I wanted to do a second YouTube channel in which I made videos retelling like steampunk lore, steampunk related series. I only managed to do Lost Exile, but I still love that. It's probably one of my best edited work. And it was supposed to have like all this community generated content as well. But yeah, I mean, steampunk is too much of a niche. But I also really wanted to work on my own fiction because, as I said, I got all these questions about writing steampunk and stuff, and it seemed like ideal for I kind of want and still do want to create kind of like a community of writers and illustrators and stuff like that, where we create this steampunk multiverse that is the Association of Ishtar, which brings us into my first foray into comics. I was working on the Wrench in the Machine, which is this beast right here, with wonderful illustrations by Star
Wow,
Ranger.
that is thick too. Show us the side profile.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a big one.
the new version is a lot thinner. I did a lot of reformatting, so it's going to be a lot thinner than this one. This is ideal for dyslexics, I suppose. A lot of space between the lines and stuff.
So I mean,
But
for some of your first works though, that is outstanding. You know what I mean? Like having done like just full out like voice acting, like and then going to that, like wow.
yeah, well, the thing was when I started with the things, I was I always had this idea for doing short stories and doing kind of like file-esque things, like very specific, talking about very specific creatures and elements and steampunk related content, and that kind of led to the first story I ever wrote for the series, which was S36, the Call Girl, which is like the foundation for the entire world building for this series.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, a friend of mine was really into ham radios for a long time, and we got this, we would be like late at night, it was dark, and then we would be sitting behind the ham radio looking for things like number stations,
Mm-hmm.
those secret spy agency things that just send out numbers into the ether. That's it, that's all they do. In particular, the Lincoln Poacher, it does not exist anymore, but it was like a Scotland Yard thing, I think, that was stationed on Cyprus. But that always started with a note. And coming back to the musician that I noticed, he made like a jingle for the Call Girl, who like does the number thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it also led to the fact that all the associates of this organization, they have numbers as code names. So she's reciting the numbers of the associates he's targeting.
Oh, that's
And
so cool.
that's the first thing. And this is a new project that we're working on. These are kind of like comics. They're like these files, fully colored, fully created. And these are like the first short stories that inspired the Wrench in the Machine. And now actually this is the one that inspired Bound for the Styx. So that's I always first start with like making files, short stories, and
Mm-hmm.
on those files I base the actual book. And I did the same for the Wrench in the Machine, because what happened was I had all these short stories, I think I already had about 30 of them done at that point. and 30 investigations.
So how long did that take though? Those 30, like what time period are we looking at? Because you sound it sounds prolific. It sounds like you got into the writing scene and just exploded.
I think they're very short stories, and I think I wrote about 2-3 years, something like that. And the most of them are still on the website, completely unedited, and also from the time that I started out. So yeah, I learned a lot since then. So I also been doing a lot of editing in the Wrench in the Machine. Actually, right now as I re-record the audiobook. So yeah, it's going to be a very far superior version than my first ones, which I still have physical copies of, which are 4 on my bloody side because I need to get rid of them now. But
we have Stephen Ballas. Bonsart does not write small books. Definitely does not. That is so awesome.
The next books are going to be far smaller. The Wrench in the Machine is 133,000 words, or at least it used to be. Bound for the Styx is just over 100,000. So
wow. Wow. And speaking of that, we actually have the opportunity to take a look at a preview of the pre-launch. I'm not sure how many people actually had a chance to take a look at it. So for some of you, this might be an exclusive first look. But before we do, give us a little bit about what Bound for the Styx is. Like what type of novel and miniatures are we campaigning for?
Yeah, it's very hard to explain. It's also a very different book from the Wrench in the Machine, as it is. It's kind of like sci-fi noir in the sense that it's from the perspective of a girl who goes to the city of Arkology, which is a city in the middle of a huge space station. And all the hook is that all these people there, it's a multiverse. And like from when a world gets destroyed in that multiverse, some of the survivors are brought there in that city, and then they have to fend for themselves, basically. So it's a city of refugees, and like none of these people understand each other. None of these people know each other's history. So when you look at the city, there's all these various cultures mixed in together, and meanwhile they're surrounded by all these Lovecraftian horrors.
Wow.
So, and yeah, Igraine comes there because among all these Bronze Age dwellers, there's also like super advanced technology there as well. And she comes there for an operation because of events that happened in the Wrench in the Machine. And but she herself, she's an exile of her world due to circumstances, and she does not really belong anywhere. She never belonged anywhere. So when she comes into the city where, it's the ideal place to start over, right? And she kind of like jumps on that opportunity, even though she's not supposed to. And she really wants to like become part of that community and part of the so-called scavs, who are the scavengers. They go into the unexplored parts of the station to scavenge. And she's really finding herself and trying to be useful, even though she's sick. And and so it's but also the city also changes throughout the story itself. So it's both about her. It's how she changes the city, and the city is changing her. So that's the noir aspect about it. But yeah, it also like explores like existentialism and that type of feel. But that's all more in the background.
Just a little taste, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you can look into a lot of things, and there are people who are just fascinated with the ecology of the place, as you can see in the Kickstarter images. So, and other people are, someone is now inspired to make a cooking book based on the story.
So was it hard to balance like all the different cultures within it, like all the different refugees within the city?
I mean, like I really focused my book on like her experience. And there are a lot of things I could have gone in deeper. Currently, somebody's working on the map now, and that made me realize some things like on things like how do people navigate in that place when there is no north, east, west or stuff. So it's really an exploration of like what she is doing and what she's doing. So there's a lot of I open a window or a door from time to time, like, oh, these guys exist too, and then I close it so you can focus really on what she is doing and her experience. So she kind of like gives you a tour throughout the city and and some of its elements and some of its peculiarities, and that helps really streamline the experience. But I got this reaction to the Wrench in the Machine a lot, that people feel there's so much more yet to explore, and that will make people come back to it. And I really hope that at some point people will also like fill in the blanks themselves, like what if, and that's the whole point. That's intentional, that's by design. And yeah, we'll see where it leads. I just published with the next Kickstarter, I'm publishing 3 new books, which is the Bound for the Styx and the 2 anthologies. And a lot of people are already loving the anthologies because they're like completely in color and illustrated. And I'm loving them too. And I really hope that we can make something that other people can add stuff in as well. So we'll see where it goes. And we're all
Go ahead.
And of course there are the miniatures, which we've got 2 new ones of. And we also have these 2 wonderful bookends. All these are prototypes, but...
Oh, here, hold on. Let me, I'll give you a big space if you want to show them off real quick. You want to...
Yeah, so... let's see. So these are the prototypes.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
Yes, they are very well done. And I can also give you a preview of one of the miniatures, the new ones. The other one is not yet done. This is 75 millimeter, just for me. I'm not done painting her yet. That still needs to be finished. But,
when you said miniature, I was thinking like small. Like that is big.
But this is a special one just for me.
Oh,
the plebs can have the plebs can have the 45 millimeter ones, but I mean I can print them on that. But I already have so many rewards and stuff I need to arrange. So
do you 3D print as well?
No. I let other people do that.
I gotcha.
I've got one guy in the United States who does it for the people over there, and I've got one over here who's helping me. So that's another hobby I just don't have time for.
Real quick, we have Mama Geekly over on Facebook saying, love the illustrations, the costumes, the colors really stand out. We got Stephen Ballas. I got the unpainted versions of the bookends. Very solid and well done. And Mama Geekly saying, love the bookends as well. Yeah, dude, I think all this merchandise looks gorgeous. Let's go ahead, give a shout out to the creative team as well. Who is your artist involved with this?
That's Johan Alexander. He does most of the illustrations. Lee Smart recently finished a illustration as well. Valentine Art has done the cover for the thing for the book. I don't have a copy of that yet because, well, I'm still waiting for some proofreaders and some of the illustrations to be done. We've got concept art done by oh god, I forgot his name. I don't speak to him. Jenkins Artwork. That's the guy I was talking about. And of course, Maxime, who's the 3D printer, 3D designer of the miniatures. So, and recently a piece of artwork that was done, and already people are screaming, "Are you gonna make a miniature of that as well?" It's like, well, I mean, well, you're gonna have to promote the Kickstarter a lot more for me to take that risk because it's not cheap.
I think speaking of Kickstarter, let's go ahead and take a look at that exclusive preview and see what it looks like. And keep in mind, guys, this is still in the works. Bonsart is still working on this, so this might be a little bit different when the campaign goes live, but we still have a little bit of an idea of what to expect. And big shout out for you for providing this opportunity. I always love kind of getting like an exclusive drop, so appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're looking.
Go ahead.
Oh no, you can go ahead.
Yeah, now I wanted to mention there's also art related to other stuff that's still in the works. Like there was an Eric of a drawing of Eric Hawkins down there, who made a wonderful drawing of an upcoming series, the Coffin Girls. That is also a sneak peek is included in this one. Like, this is a very, very, very thin book. But it's really just me learning how to make comics. And for thickness, we added like the Coffin Girl story, which people also love. So yeah, we got some amazing art for that already.
So we are looking at Bound for the Styx steampunk novels and miniatures, $1,063 goal in 43 days in total. I mean, outstanding pledge goal and date right there. So let's go ahead and kind of scroll down, check out some of these interiors, and then we'll go through the rewards as well.
Yep. Yeah, man. I love, and they also do photography. We have like a costume group, kind of like they're also the people who help me like create like the ecosystem of the place. And we also made a video on Arkology if you want to have a preview of what that's like. So yeah, we've got videos of other short stories as well, with animated art, and some even have multiple voice actors. And that's something I hope to continue. I just don't have the time at the moment.
I love the voice acting. That is so cool because it adds a whole like depth to it, you know, a whole new like immersion experience that you can't get like just reading it. Like hearing someone read it and put the enthusiasm and the pronunciation into it, it's a whole new level. Yeah.
I also write it to be read out loud. Just you could see the drawing tier. I have to add that still to the site. The image was just done. Maybe I submitted it to you by one of our biggest patrons, Stephen Bellens, who is in the chat right now. We've got a character for him designed, which also adds a little bit to the lore of one of the factions there. We also have a coloring book. Some of the art was originally intended for that. So this is the comic. Then we have, that's the Coffin Girls. One of them is done by Eldon Crowder, who's one of the original BattleTech artists.
Wow.
When I asked him to do this, I did not know he was one of the official artists. But yeah, and the one beside that is done by Eric Hawkins. Wonderful one. And then
right here's that coloring book you were talking about.
Yeah. Enwin's favorite. The doll is actually a character in the next book that I'm currently working on.
That's so cool. And then the miniatures, these are awesome.
Yeah, those are the ones from the what do you call it? The first book from the Wrench in the Machine, S36, Associate 212. Yeah.
And then the bookends as well. Yeah, these are gorgeous. I'm a big fan of when Kickstarters have like unique merchandise. Like for me, as a podcast, you know, I created an award ceremony, and we're going to be hosting our first show coming soon. And I'm actually 3D printing trophies to send to people that win. Nice. You know, so that way you have a trophy, because I'm a big believer, like when you get merchandise or you get any sort of merch that you can physically hold, that like in itself is a whole new experience. Like stickers are cool, right? Like, you know, put them everywhere. Bookmarks are awesome, but like actual like patches, miniatures, bookends, like that stuff is like, oh, it's a whole new level to it.
Yeah, I mean, I happen to have them, you know, and so it's, yeah, people love their patches. And we also have got some partners joining in as well. We've got HMS Publishing offering some anthologies, and the Styxian Society also offers a book. So yeah. I'm expecting some others to contribute as well, so you can also get their works for very, very low prices.
And for everyone that is watching, right here is the link. This campaign is not live right now, but you could sign up. It's 100% free to sign up. We're trying to get, I think we had 115 pre-launch followers.
We've got 160 now. We've got one person.
Yeah. We're trying to get, let's at least get 20 by the end of the day. At least 4 more. I think that's doable. Just be sure to follow, and if you can, just share it. Word of mouth is 100% free. So let's check out some of these tiers as well. So this is €1, right? Or is it a pound?
That's a euro. Yeah, okay. I cannot turn it to dollar, which is really frustrating.
So not a big deal. So at €1, you just you support the project. You know, throw a little change, Bonsart way to kind of help it get off the ground. And then we also have at 10 euros or more, you can get the digital copy of Bound for Styx. So how many pages is this estimated to be?
Bound for the Styx. I do not know, to be honest. I have not checked. Somewhere, I think, just under. I estimate under 400 at the moment.
400 pages for $10? Oh my gosh!
For the ebook, not for the physical copy.
That still is that. I mean, digitally speaking, that is probably the biggest bang for a buck I've seen. 400 pages is remarkable. Oh my goodness.
No, I mean, people can always donate more, but.
And then we have Color the Multiverse. So you can get that coloring multiverse coloring book for 15 euros or more. I also want to say that I've gone through a lot of Kickstarters, and I want to say when you go live with this, there should be something underneath it where it will convert to USD. So I don't know if that's something you have to enable, but I want to say I've gone through a lot of like European Kickstarters, and there's always a USD underneath it. So maybe you have to wait until you go live for that conversion.
Oh, that would be great. I have not noticed it, but yeah, it should be there. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, 25 euros for the physical book, though. I mean, that's not a bad price at all. That's what, $15 more than the digital? Holy crap. And then we have the miniature.
Yeah, well, a lot of people say that I should ask more for my books, but I don't know.
I would say you could probably get away easily with 35-40. I mean, at 400 pages, I've seen like 100 get away at 35 to 40, you know?
Well, I mean, I don't know. If people want to pay more for it, they're free to donate. But
hey,
we'll see,
I love it. Bonsart is a man of the people. You got to love and respect it. We got Mama Geekly real quick asking a question over on Facebook, wanting to know who your favorite author is. So any authors in particular that kind of like motivated you or inspired you?
I don't. For some reason, I immediately go to Robert E. Howard, even though I have not read that much of his work. But you know, his influence on pop culture is just amazing. So that would be one. Like, I don't read that much. I prefer to create. So yeah, I guess that would be like one of my go-to writers.
I gotcha. So back to the tiers, you know, pledge 30 euros or more, you can get the miniatures, the Wretch, and the Machine. And then you can also add 30 euros or more, get miniatures for Bound for the Styx as well. We have 35 Bound for the Styx plus, so receive a physical copy. And then you get the stretch goals as well. And then the paperback Arkology companion too. So some awesome tiers. Outside of that, you know, any favorite tiers that you have, like any tiers or bundles that you think are really the biggest bang for your buck?
Well, the biggest bang for your buck. Well, I really like the tabletop experience, the tabletop collection, which is I think about around the $60. Oh no, there it is, like tabletop collection, which is all 4 miniatures plus the ebooks. And one of the things is because these things are like in-world documents, so you actually, you know, you could hand these things to your players if you want to, and say, well, this is what you find, and then you so then that's kind of like the idea of immersion, that you are actually an investigator in that world. That's the idea behind it.
You can get the bookends too at 110 euros, so awesome price for that as well. 155 be drawn as a scav. And then we have the complete collection at 185 euros, so that is everything. Oh my goodness. Some awesome pricing here. Get written into the story at 250, and you only have 3 spots for that. So guys, you want to act fast when this campaign goes live. Right there is the link to sign up to be notified right when it launches. Bonsart, after kind of going through that, I know we're still in the pre-launch. We haven't even gone live with it, but, you know, kind of thinking ahead, what would you like to say to anyone who might be on the fence about backing? You know, just if we could put ourselves in the future when the campaign's live and someone can go back and watch this part of the interview.
Well, you know, when you support this campaign, you're not just supporting, you're not just getting the books, you're also getting like what the community puts out. Like, this is created purely by the community. So the people have volunteered to make sketches for this, and proofread it and edit it. So this is purely a community. These books are purely community stuff. I mean, I also give like workshops for people who want to learn to write. We have a community if you want support or feedback on your own creative things. And also a bit of a preview. I am talking to a role-play game developer about a potential association of Ishtar role-playing game.
Okay.
So that's still, I cannot make any promises in that regard, but I know him pretty well, and I know that he says if he's going to do something that he will actually finish it. So yeah, and if that happens, some exciting stuff might come forth from that. Not just game wise, but also in the greater cultural sphere.
Let's go, man.
That's I'm really hoping this that all continues. I hear more after the campaign is done. So yeah, but yeah, if you want to be involved in creating a role-playing game, we are now looking for people who want to play test and brainstorm about ideas and things that want to be included. Thanks to me promoting the Kickstarter, we are already getting some people are really becoming fans real quick. And yeah, I get a lot of responses from people like, oh my god, I was looking for something like this, because there's nothing really at the moment that I can compare it with. And if you're a fan of Lovecraftian horror, you're gonna love this. If you are a person that enjoys things like Stalker or the Metro series, you're gonna love this.
Oh man, you're speaking my alleyway. The Metro series is so good. 2033 and 34, like.
Yeah. And, I mean, it definitely takes like experience, like especially from the Roadside Picnic, but that also inspired the Metro series. Yeah, I also get a lot of fantasy people also really enjoy this, because there is a mild fantastical element with it, even though it's mostly science fiction, but there is a kind of like supernatural spin to it all. And yeah, I'm very proud of it, and yeah, I'm desperately looking now for my audience. That's one of my biggest challenges at the moment.
Oh, that is so awesome. And the Metro series, man. Oh, man. That I remember running through that game on, like, the Iron Ranger difficulty. Like, I love that game. That game was so good. It was such a perfect balance of, like, survival horror and just, like, this, like, dystopian, like, post-apocalyptic world. I ate. And the way you customized the guns was just, like, awesome, right? Yeah. Like, dude, beautiful. So we've come to one of my favorite parts of the stream, Bonsart. Before we let you go, I always love asking for a little bit of advice for anyone who might be new and listening. And since you seem so community-based, this might be right up your alleyway, helping a little bit of the audience that is listening to us talk about your book today. So for anyone out there struggling with world building, which adding a little bit of depth to their creation, what advice would you offer them to kind of help them, get a little bit more out of it?
Well, stop trying to write tomes of lore and start working on the story. That is, I don't know, old Chinese wisdom, I know, but I see a lot of writers completely stuck on, I have this character. I don't have a story for him, but I have a character, and that character is awesome. But and then I ask, just write the goddamn story. That's my advice. Yeah, if you want more advice, I actually have videos on writing, including ones writing for beginners, and I also have blogs on how to write a sentence. Because yeah, if you can't write a sentence, you can't world build. It's that simple.
So feel free to shout those out again. Give us where we can find those.
All right, so my blogs you can find on associationofishtar.com. And my videos you can find at Radio Retro Future on YouTube and Rumble and some other sites I can automatically upload to. And yeah, you can also look up the Steampunk Beginner's Guide if you want to learn more about steampunk, retrofuturism, and retrofuturistic world building.
Awesome. We have Mama Geekly. I wish you loads of luck. Seems and looks very interesting. Stay safe and keep going forward. And we have Johan Alexander. Often heard about Metro. It's better to start with the games or the novels. I've never read the novels. I want to read the novels because of the games. I feel like there's two different facets, right? One's the visual medium and one's the, the reading medium. And For me, the game was just like such an unreal experience. And I want to say you can get the Redux, which is 20, 33, and 34 for like $15. Like, so they give you both of them.
Yeah. I even enjoyed the later Metro game. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's open world," and I like it. I really enjoy it. I mean, there's only so much you can do with tunnels, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of realistic too. Like they do a little bit realistic, like the Iron Man where you get shot once or twice and you're dead. It's unreal. And man, those bear fights are just insane. But this has been such an awesome chat. Everyone watching, right here is the link. Be sure to sign up. We're trying to hit 120 pre-launch followers, so be sure share that with your friends. Anywhere you type, you could put that link, and we would love to see it. Bonsart, thank you so much for swinging by. This has been an awesome chat. Everyone watching, I hope you all have a fantastic Friday afternoon or evening. And most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.